Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday, and I hope everyone had a good weekend. Welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate that. Sorry, I forgot the sound. I don't know. It started muted, and I didn't realize that. The bestest streamer. Welcome, John Lithium, Michael Hassler, Derry Bennett, Kirkenstein's Monster, Ground Level News, Bella Lugrisi. Did you guys have storms over the weekend? Yeah, we did have some rain, but thankfully it wasn't too bad. The real question is, what are the free and open source alternatives to OBS? That's a good question. Sandy uses Ecamm and likes it a lot. I've never heard of Ecamm. I'm gonna be honest. I have to look that up. Sometimes the bad ones screw with stuff. Can you share the rain? It's kind of drizzling right now, actually. Yeah, I wish I could. Folks, Streamlabs, yes. Streamlabs is another one. I use Streamlabs for like mobile if I have to go mobile. I don't really use it for the desktop. Mayhem Hippie with a tier 1 sub. 16 months, thank you. Don't be a disgrace, go to this space. Oh, big announcement. For tonight. Big announcement for tonight, folks. I have used Streamlabs Mobile. I think Streamlabs Mobile is pretty decent. I think it's probably one of the easier things to use. Otherwise, like I can just use my Restream service. But it doesn't function and doesn't let me... It doesn't let me do the things that OBS does. Like, I can, swap scenes and do this kind of stuff and then do this. And then move over here, like it's... OBS has options. That some of the other stuff just doesn't do. Although technology is getting better. Astro Calico. Welcome. All right, folks, we got to get started because there's a big announcement. Big stuff happening tonight. I will be on the Ladder Hacks channel doing a impromptu interview with Pep Talks, also known as Pepaganda, on this space. So we will be hanging out with Matt tonight at around 9 p.m. on his channel. So big stuff is happening. I highly recommend to check it out. We'll just be vibing tonight, just for an hour. We'll be vibing. That being said, folks, let's get started. Thank you all for being here. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store. Do the !tip Substack. Join the Discord, folks. We do movie events, folks. Check it out. We do movie events on usually the first Saturday and last Saturday of the month. Or really also just kind of whenever it tickles our fancy. We do movie events because we can, and it's also fun. It's also fun, folks. So if you want to participate in that and also keep up with the channel, the Discord is one of the better ways to do that. Thank you all for being here. Let's get started, folks. We got a lot. This weekend selection is a doozy. Yeah, we got a lot to cover. Let's do it. We got a lot to cover, and where am I? Why is the There we are. There we are. Okay. Yeah, my weekend, I had a lot of stuff to do. A lot of stuff to do. PFAS, bombshells drop while Trump was declaring martial law. Yeah, that's going to be the focus of this kind of thing. What happened with the PFAS stuff? I mean, it's probably something along the lines that this was a lot worse than we thought. Because like PFAS chemicals are already pretty bad, and we know how bad and these things are. They cause cancer. They're everywhere. They're borderline impossible to get rid of. But yeah, if you want to give us a quick TLDR, I think also you posted the video of Kyle Kalinske covering this. We have this one here, but I did watch the Kyle Kalinske one. So we're gonna get this perspective, just covering this leaked memo you were talking about last week, and then kind of use that to transition to what's been happening in DC, which is pretty disturbing stuff, folks. Pretty disturbing stuff. American beer is loaded with PFAS. Yeesh. I mean, like, it'd probably be easier to ask the question, what isn't what isn't tainted by PFAS chemicals, right? I think that would probably be a better question. Lawsuits found chemical manufacturers guilty. Well, that's actually kind of surprising, honestly, and welcome news. Wolf Glen, welcome. Nothing. Yeah. Oh man, it's so depressing. Welcome. The evidence from the trial makes them even worse than before, than previously known. Wow. Heretofore known. Let's all go back to drinking wine. Seriously. I mean, like, even stuff that's seemingly safe, like glass, also can have PFAS because the top may be plastic and it leaches into the glass or whatever. Like there's just no getting away from it, like Wolf Glen says. I don't drink at all, but I did plenty when I was younger, so PFAS. Oh, we're all kind of cooked in that sense. Major deformities, full labs. Yeesh, yikes. So I can only imagine what it's doing to us right now. Soul Life, welcome. A nice Rising 2. Come on, don't tread on me, bro. Opens up his box wine from 98. Nice. It's a good year. Pretty sure it was the same year that Pokemon came out. Pokemon the first movie? Wait, no. The first game? Did the first game come out in 95 or 98? Anyways, I think it's important to preface this whole um, kerfuffle that's happening in DC with this. This is something that Nadia has mentioned. We've mentioned before. 98. Okay, gotcha. 96 in Japan and 98 in the US. Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. See, I remember. Winnie Rose, welcome. All my drinkware is handmade from rocks. That'll keep me safe. Oh my goodness. I mean, that's kind of where we're gonna have to do, right? But even then, that's not guaranteed that anything else you touch doesn't have PFAS. I got blue version for my good grades. I didn't get good grades. No good years after 94. I hear that. Where were you in 98? I was allegedly I was allegedly very young and definitely under 10 years old. But definitely old enough to know how to play Pokemon. And I had I think that was my first with my first console, which was the gray Game Boy. PFAS can be detected even in the rain in Tibet. Yep, it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. Think about a place, and it probably has PFAS. Like literally everywhere. Like think about whatever. Like even the South Pole. That's right. It was a joke with too many layers. Think of all the toxic minerals we extract from the rock. I made a Pikachu corn cob pipe. The ladies were more likely to smoke a bowl for the first time. Nice. Like arsenic. I wonder if I would prefer arsenic over PFAS. I'm gonna be honest. Not that either's a good deal. You guys remember going to Burger King to trade cards and stuff, or was that just my small town? Oh, that was definitely a thing. Like, at school too. When the Pokemon cards came out, oof, man, I am kicking myself for not saving some of those old packs that were literally like a couple dollars back in the day. The PFAS stuff really should be radically more faith-shaking than Chernobyl. Oh, oof, yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Donald James, welcome. I remember the burger jail at McDonald's. Those cards turn out to be more valuable than my Beanie Babies. Yep. And it's incredible, right? I mean, even the sealed packs. Okay, this is how out of hand it has gotten. A sealed pack of those old Pokemon cards, like not even, just the sealed pack itself is worth hundreds of dollars. Hundreds. Like 10x what its original price was. And if it's a weighted pack, meaning that they've weighed the pack and can guarantee a holographic card in the original OG first edition packs. Those go really, really high. Like I mean, like it's incredible. Like it's incredible. And I didn't realize it was actually my sister that pointed out, just how much like these cards have exploded. Yeah, I've got old MTG, but didn't save any of my Pokemon for some damn reason. I have like my old cards, but I mean they're my old cards, PCU needs to be required viewing for all leftists. What is PCU? Are we covering the super fascist press conference today? Kind of. Kind of. You want arsenic? Come to Utah. We're breathing it over here. I'm good. I seen SLC Punk, the dude that had the sheet of acid in his pocket and got wet. In 98, I was living out of a car and working in a Venetian blind factory to get through my minors' last credits. Through uni, I ended up too broke to survive and dropping 2 of my minors to graduate. Oof. I was but a wee lad in 98.
So, does anyone else sometimes just feel really overwhelmed when they stop and think about how destructive Donald Trump's presidency has already been? We're 7 months in, and the amount...
Like, that's actually, like, the incredible part about this is that, like, we're literally just 7 months in, folks. Like, we're just crossing that 7-month line. And it feels like 10 times that. It feels like years. It feels like years.
The amount of pain and suffering that his policies have already caused cannot be overstated. His cuts to Medicaid and the big bullshit bill will result in more than 51,000 American deaths.
98, my daughter was 7, was already living in my current home. Nice. And I'd love being 12 again. Me too. Me too. Can I get a rewind? Like, do we, like, I think everybody deserves one do-over, okay? Everybody deserves to go back to one point in time, okay? And start, and with the knowledge that they have now, and start from that point in time. Everyone should get a do-over. Just one, though. You only get one. But you can pop that do-over at any point. At any point in time. Do I retain all the knowledge I have already gained? Yes. Yes, that's it. That's like the cheat code, okay? Yeah, exactly. Everyone gets one mulligan. Everyone gets one mulligan. You already know the cards in your deck. Look at me talking like a magic nerd. You just wake up the next day and you start back at that save point. You start back at that save point. Too many luck points. If I was 12 again, Black Sabbath and Zeppelin. I think if I was young, I would I would probably keep more of my old packs and stuff like that, and I would have probably gotten a lot more value out of those Pokemon cards, among other things. Abba's the only cheat code I know. That's right, people don't just come here for the news, they come here for the fun. How can you retain the current knowledge without losing the old feeling? The knowledge would have been intuition, deja vu, or dreams. Yeah, I mean, like you can. I'd be okay with that kind of, right? Like you don't. It's not like you just have like. It's. It would be like waking up from a dream, right? And everything that the dream was is just all the life you've lived. And you just wake up and you're like, whoa. But all of that happened, and all of that can happen because you're starting back the clock again if you do the same thing. Or you can do things better. If you paid attention to your dream, and if you pay attention to your intuition as you go down the years. I just want to have a voice that I didn't have the ability to have before, you know? Yeah. I hear that. That's what a journal is for. Actually, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good idea, honestly. I had a first print foil Zapdos and a Gengar. Oof. Does it fade like a dream? I mean, like I remember. Well, okay. I like the dreams that are vivid enough. I remember. Like the dreams that are very vivid. I remember, and in fact, I literally remember a dream from a couple days ago. Where I was literally like chasing around bears, because a couple of bears decided to show up at my house a couple days ago. So I literally dreamed about that same family of bears that decided to visit us, and I was chasing them around. So yeah, I mean, I think if you have a vivid enough dream, you would remember it enough. Did you use the universal? Psst, psst, psst? No, I was just talking to them. I would invest in Microsoft, IBM, Google, and Amazon. Oof. Instant money cheat. Instant money glitch. I'd run away young and do whatever it takes to get treatment before puberty. Worth it. Heck yeah, Nadia. Only bear I want to see talking is Smokey. No, they didn't talk. And not in the dream anyways. I don't think they talked in the dream. I was just chasing them. Just like in real life, what I did was just like kind of yell at them because they're baby bears. Like they're pretty skittish as it is. They're baby bears that were trying to climb up the deck. I just kind of shoot them away. Mama bear was waiting for them at the base. I once had a dream that lasted for 6 months. In the dream, when I woke up, it seemed to know all the answers to the test questions. Aha! See, there you go. There's proof of concept right there. What kind of monster yells at baby bears? The kind that doesn't want the bears to come back. The kind that's trying to help the bears by keeping them wild. You know? I don't want them to think that humans are A, good, and 2, feed them. Or think that there's food here. Because they'll be back. They'll be back, that's the thing. The last thing you want is bears associating you with food. Not good. Not great. Mega Millions is probably the most efficient or whatever local equivalent. Since we're just inventing time travel. Oh, this is for the memes. Welcome. I'm on a delay, but I had the chance to invest in Bitcoin when it was 3,000 and just out of my financial reach. Oof. Welcome, I'm just me. That's why we choose the bear. No. No. Look, the bears are very cute, but they deserve to be in the forest. They deserve to be in the forest. You don't want them associating humans with food. Bears already try to open dumpsters to get food. 100%, yeah. And that's why you should keep your trash cans inside, like I do. I don't want... I learned that lesson very quickly living here. I learned that lesson like almost day one. That they will absolutely do that. I threw $1 million once. M&M's had a contest to introduce a new color, blue one, circa 2003, and the M&M's were colorless during the contest. I bought a bag. They were color though. Huh. They were color. Thought that's dumb and threw out the wrapper. About 2 weeks later, saw the commercial. Apparently, if you got a bag of color M&M's in the gray packaging, then you were the $1 million winner. No, dang. We have raccoons in Colorado and the occasional bear. Those trash pandas are disgusting but cute. Oh, we have those too. The little trash pandas who also decide to visit us sometimes. I see them. Do bears bear? Do bees bee? Yes. My army of chickens are less likely to eat me over an army of bears. True. Nah, the bears aren't gonna eat you. You'll be alright. Not afraid of the bears. Not the black bears. The black bears are pretty skittish. Even the mama bear who was waiting downstairs, you know, she was okay considering how close I was to the cubs. And they all skipped. They all skipped out of town real quick. They're chill. Mostly. Those aren't supposed to be very aggressive, but more aggressive species like grizzlies are spreading more. Oh, yeah, no. Grizzlies, I would not be doing that. The grizzlies, I would not be doing that. Nope. No, thank you. No, thank you. I would not, no. Now that's the, look, you can have whatever you want. I'm not going out there. Nope. No, thank you. Polar bears even worse. Polar bears even worse. Those guys will actively hunt you if they got the chance. Polar bears are not a joke. Those are scary. Those are scary. Even scarier than grizzlies, I would say. Cocaine bear was a black bear. Yeah, but he was on coke, so it made him into a grizzly, basically. Excuse me. Honestly, again, most animals are more afraid of you than you are of them. So I wouldn't be too worried. Like, of course, at the end of the day, they are wild animals. So like, I don't know, use common sense, but most of the time the animals will try to run, right? Most of the animals will try to run. Can't blame the polar bears. Well, the code gets in their bones, and we all know how cranky that can make you. Valid.
Every single year, his cuts to USAID could cause up to 14 million unnecessary deaths in developing countries like Sudan, according to an analysis conducted by The Lancet. His complicity with tens of thousands of deaths in Gaza and his greenlighting of Israel's plan to reoccupy Gaza will cause even more profound pain and suffering for a population that's been through everything you can imagine. His HHS secretary's decision to pull $500 million in funding for mRNA vaccine research is going to cripple cutting-edge research that is putting us closer than ever to finding cures for various forms of cancers. And the funding for that can be restored one day when he's out.
Which, going back and circling back to what Nadia was saying, there's something that is really needed, right? Like cutting edge cancer technology and research is desperately needed. Needed.
Out of office, but if it takes an additional 5 years to develop a vaccine for a particular cancer, imagine how many lives could have been saved if we didn't have this 5-year setback. And so I've always regarded George W. Bush as the worst president in modern history because he's responsible for the deaths of around 1 million Iraqis. But when it's all said and done, Trump's damage will have caused more than 10 times the deaths as the Iraq War, if these estimates are correct. I mean, this is truly one of the most monstrous administrations in American history, certainly in my lifetime. Not to mention, Trump is by far and away one of the most brazenly corrupt public officials we've ever had. Nobody else even comes close. And to top it all off, this man is an authoritarian who is destroying our democracy, which is something that we may never be able to recover from. He's already implemented.
Yeah, I mean, like the damage here, it's cooked. It's cooked. The polar bears are angry about the PFAS. Yeah, don't blame them. If they're cold, they're cold. Let them in. It's full on, zero doubt, 1000% fascism that we're living through. Oh, 100%. Like there's no doubt. Like there's no excuse. There's nothing else left, right? Like there's nothing else like to say, especially about the images and clips that we're about to see after this. Polar bears you don't want to be anywhere near. If camping where they exist, one has to sit up with the rifle outside the tent all night. I skipped school to Svalbard where we used to do this. Yeah, definitely. 100%. My really close friend, who I consider essentially family, and I've talked about him before. He actually went to do climate research. He actually went to do climate research in the Arctic, and they had to go. They had to go with armed guards because of the polar bears. When they did the research. How's that 1,500 drug price reduction treating you guys? Phenomenal. Meanwhile, Republicans are always worried about population growth. Looks like they mean white population growth and unalive millions of browns just to adjust. Christian Value Party. Yep. Don't trust the science. Oh boy. That's
46.
That is a username.
Of Project 2025, and just this week he fired another official who refused to comply with his weaponization of the FBI. His DOJ is sanctioning an attorney for representing an immigrant for free. He's also pushing an unconstitutional plan to conduct a new mid-decade census in order to draw more congressional maps for Republicans by excluding immigrants. He's also reaching out to allies in media like Charlie Kirk, Joe Rogan, and Alex Jones to shut down their criticism of his handling of the Epstein files. He's using the carrot with them, but the stick with everyone else. He's suing media companies that publish stories that he doesn't like. There's a reason why historians and experts on fascism have fled the country, and why some political scientists have already concluded that America is no longer a democracy. By their estimation and their expertise, they say that America no longer meets the basic criteria to be considered a democracy.
Yeah.
Because we're not. The question now is, what kind of a dictatorship are we going to be? And it's hard to tell because we're still in the early stages of authoritarianism and the transformation isn't complete yet.
I mean, like you can say like just in a general, I think we kind of had this conversation on this space But like you can just call it American fascism, right? You can just call it MAGAism. When historians write about what's happening or what happened, I guess, in the future, they're not going to say like, you know, they're probably going to describe this as some kind of American fascist movement or American far right movement, or maybe they'll describe it as the MAGAist movement that took over the United States during the 2020s and mid 20s, and that's probably how it's going to be reserved. They probably will make the parallel comparisons to the fascist movements of yesteryear, but they'll probably describe it as something to the effect of American fascist movement or something like that. Yeesh, that's scary, Blue Tomato. I love extreme temps like that. Makes me feel like I'm on another planet. Oh, I'm good. It's illegal to go outside out of town without a gun, but even inside town it's dangerous. Before that, yeah, but like when we, I think this, I think this is the turning point, right? Because it's beginning to look like game set match versus when it started to creep up or started to show its face without without the thin veil of pretending. That was still kind of sort of happening during the first Trump administration. Now it's not. They're not even bothering. They're not even pretending at this point anymore. Yeah, Charlottesville was a indicator that I believe historians will point out to be like, okay, this is a important checkpoint that happened as we make our way to what culminated in where we are, where we're going, so to speak. JK, that is assuming the world survives the U.S. fascism. Yeah. True.
Power is still being consolidated, but increasingly, it's looking more and more like we are turning into a militarized police state where opposition to the regime is met with severe penalties and even abuse in some circumstances. Now, last week we talked about Trump's plan to add 10,000 new agents to his ICE Gestapo, and a few months ago we talked about his dangerous new executive order that laid out his plans to implement a police state. Now, I'm going to link you to those videos down below in case you need a refresher. But that executive order that I talked about, titled Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals and Protect Innocent Citizens, is one of the most damaging executive orders he's signed, and not enough people are talking about it. And what it does is a number of things. It offers pro bono legal representation to officers accused of misconduct. It shields them from legal culpability if they abuse power. And it directs Hegseth and Bondi to determine how they can transform police forces into even more of a militarized force. So the result will be that police departments will become even more militarized than they already are, and to boot, they'll have immunity in the likely event they choose to abuse their power. But if that wasn't enough, we're now looking at even more masked ICE agents in American cities once they recruit thousands of new individuals to ramp up their deportation. And as bad as all of this is, believe it or not, it could get even worse, because aside from militarized police and masked brown shirts, we could soon see straight up military personnel on city streets in a similar way to the way that we saw
Now, again, this video and the conversation about this, what we were talking about, this video is a couple days old. The whole point, as Nadia was talking about, and again, you can watch the video, you can watch Kyle Kalinske. I think he was one of the first videos on this. It's also posted on the Discord. All of this is kind of leading up to what what we saw, or what we are, I guess, witnessing happening in the Capitol. In the Capitol. Moanep, welcome. Thought we lost our democracy status before this election, so now we're even further off. Yeah, it's not great. It's not good. It's not great. Some would even call it unpoggers.
Troops on the streets in LA in response to anti-ICE protests. And based on a leaked memo from DHS, this could be the new norm for years. And Greg Sargent of The New Republic breaks it down in an article where he explains the memo lays out the need to persuade top Pentagon officials to get much more serious about using the military to combat illegal immigration, and not just at the border. It suggests that DHS is anticipating many more uses of the military in urban centers, noting that LA-style operations may be needed for years to come. And it likens the threat posed by transnational gangs and cartels to having Al-Qaeda or ISIS cells and fighters operating freely inside America, hinting at a ramped-up militarized posture inside the interior. So this is the imperial boomerang coming right back around, right? The war on terror is coming to the United States. So the streets of America could soon look like we're the subjects of some sort of a foreign occupation, except we're not being invaded and occupied by a foreign entity. Our cities are being invaded and occupied by a hostile domestic entity. Yep. In other words, the military, in theory, which is supposed to protect us, has now been turned against us at the behest of an authoritarian madman who wants absolute power and absolute control. The goal here isn't just to keep us in line violently if necessary, it's to intimidate us so we never speak out of turn in the first place and create a climate of fear and paranoia. The goal is to pacify the public so that way they feel less inclined to protest and, fight back against this regime. This is quintessential autocracy, and Greg Sargent of The New Republic.
Yeah, war of terror. That's right.
Public speaks to multiple experts in this article about this memo, and unsurprisingly, they say that the implications of this are extremely, extremely chilling. Quote, the memo is alarming because it speaks to the intent to use the military within the United States at a level not seen since Japanese internment, Carrie Lee, senior fellow at the German Marshall Fund, told me. The military is the most powerful coercive tool our country has. We don't want the military doing law enforcement. It absolutely undermines the rule of law. Quote, the conflation of a low-level threat like transnational criminal organizations with Al-Qaeda, which was actually attempting to topple the United States government, is a clear attempt to use excessive force for a purpose normally handled by civil authorities, Lindsay Cohn, an associate professor at the U.S. Naval War College, told me. Quote, normalizing routine military support to law enforcement could create a kind of domestic, quote, forever war, but one that is uniquely dangerous, the Brennan Center's Joseph Nunn told me. As the founders well understood, a military that is turned inward is a threat to both democracy and individual liberty. So again,
100%. Like when the military is turned inwards, it's GG's, everyone. That's it. When the military is actively doing law enforcement. Like, we're no longer talking about, it's already bad, it's already bad enough that they're being put as a support role, right? It's already bad enough that they're being put on the streets to project an image of power, even though they're mostly not doing anything, mostly. But it's another to actually have them actively do law enforcement actions. And when that happens on a large scale, meaning that that's now policy, that's GG's. If and when you encounter the U.S. military on the streets, make sure they can hear you when they say, I can't believe we used to give soldiers our respect. Look at these fools. I actually 100% endorse this.
Are warning us that what's to come is very, very dangerous. And we're just talking about one dimension of Trump's authoritarianism. For all intents and purposes, we're functionally living in a soft dictatorship. Yep. And all of the changes that Trump ushered in have been so profound that I don't think it's a stretch to now say that Trump is facilitating de facto regime change. And I don't use that term lightly. And I say that because the previous norms, the rule of law, the Constitution, and institutions that comprise the regime that we're all familiar with, those are gone. It's just the Constitution is no longer in effect. It doesn't constrict presidential power. The Supreme Court gave him immunity to not just get away with crimes, but they gave him a loophole to override the Constitution via executive orders. The law is basically what Trump says it is.
Regardless of the ultimate outcome, I think this level of blatantness, even if it's not out of nowhere, there's a trend you can trace, and many paying attention have been. Yep, Al-Qaeda trying to topple the government. Yeah, I mean, like, they're basically hearkening back to 9/11, when one of the presumed targets of 9/11 was not just the Pentagon, but the White House. So I guess that's where they're getting this from. But like, this obviously cannot be missed by many people, or people who otherwise were in fact, quote, missing it. I mean, I hope that's the case. You know, the cynicism in me says that not enough people are paying attention. But I hope that is the case, and normies forcing to reckon with that. I hope so. I hope so. Military guys tend to solve things with violence. Just remember, yep.
And the penalties for violating his laws are determined by him or his cronies. The system that we've had for 249 years is over. In the 250th year, we have a completely different fucking system. Our country is governed unilaterally by Donald Trump, like it or not. And a lot of people are still in denial about this because it's hard to swallow this pill. Nobody wants to admit that democracy has fallen and their country is being destroyed, but that is indeed the reality that we find ourselves in. And I want to share a clip from Rachel Maddow, who did a really good job at putting things into perspective, because the way she says it, I think, helps people understand the gravity of the moment.
We have a consolidating dictatorship in our country.
Rachel Maddow.
And it sounds melodramatic to say it.
It's not.
I know. But just go with that for a minute, right? Think in melodramatic terms. Think in cinematic terms. Imagine the cartoon level caricature of what you...
But it's like I know I've seen this clip before. The only thing that I would say is that, like, it's not, you know, you don't have to, like, imagine. It's happening, right? Or I'm pretty sure she says that, though. I can't remember.
You think a dictatorship looks like in the cartoon caricature of an authoritarian state. There's secret police, there's prison camps, there's the scapegoated enemy on whom all things must be blamed and against whom all things are justified.
Mm-hmm.
Protests must be criminalized. Media must be intimidated into saying and doing what the leader wants, or they must be shut down, or both. Universities must be intimidated into saying and doing what the leader wants, or they must be shut down, or both. Law firms must be intimidated into not opposing him and saying and doing what he wants, or they must be shut down. And for institutions like that, it's not just the boldest or most strident critics of the president who must be shut down. It's the most mainstream, right? It's the most prestigious, the most credible, because that's what's so dangerous about them. There can't be any source of authority. There can't be any source of authoritative statements of fact that compete with what the leader insists must be the new truth. And so government departments will be stripped of their experts, and he will fire his way through them until they tell him things that he wants to be told. If you want to be a 4-star general or admiral in this military, you must now pass a personal...
Yeah, sorry. What I was saying is, like, this isn't like, you know, something cartoonishly like, oh, this is from like a movie. Like, no, this is happening right now. People need to realize that. Like, it's not. It's actually very, very plausible, very real. It's, in fact, here. Which I believe she ends with that. The aim and symmetry is so glaring, and that's so much why we're here. Like, genuinely, the right obviously is a vanguard of the problem itself, but then you have the sad excuse for what's supposed to offer / be ostensibly of any kind of alternative. And between them actively trying to obstruct anyone who'd offer an alternative out of their own narrow electoral self-interest, nothing more, and them just failing to do with anything the powers they succeeded or more or less monopolizing, that's how the right has gotten this far. Them wouldn't even forgive student debt after Biden got his new powers. Meanwhile, look at what Trump is doing. My concern is the court's ruling on immunity was vague, and I think intentionally. Yep, 100%. Like, the stage is set, folks. The stage is set, and that was a project that they've been working on for quite a while. It just so happens that Trump came along and became the perfect vehicle to enact this project. The majority right-wing's court vague ruling gives the right-wing president room to do this, but then if a Democrat does it, the fort fills in the details it wants, which saves us from another rogue president, but too late. Yep. We almost made it to 250 years. It has been fun.
One-on-one interview with the president, who personally will decide if you are to his liking or not to be a flag officer in this military.
I mean, 250 years. I mean, that's pretty, that's, I think it's pretty good. That's A for effort, okay?
Intelligence agencies will say that his strike on Iran obliterated their nuclear program because he likes that word, obliterated, and he said it once. And therefore, because he said it, it must be true. And if you say otherwise, you will be fired. The Justice Department will say that the president won not just the last election, but he also won the one before that, the one he actually lost. And anybody who points out that Russia tried to help him win the one before that should be criminally charged for saying that, even though it's true. We are not heading towards something like this. We are there. It is here. It is the environment in which we are now living.
Yep.
Listen, you all know I've had my disagreements with Rachel Maddow as a leftist, but she is absolutely correct here. And one thing that comedian Bassem Youssef said in an interview with Piers Morgan really demonstrated the gravity of the situation to me. So last year, he talked about how for all of his criticisms of the United States, he still admires this country for the fact that we have the right to speak out and challenge our government and criticize them. And free speech is especially important to an immigrant like him who lived in Egypt and was interrogated by LCC's government for satire. He had a TV show. He was basically the Jon Stewart of Egypt, and he made fun of the regime.
Yeah, he is a toddler.
And they interrogated him and threatened him.
A toddler with absolute power, basically.
So he said something to the effect of, I'm glad that this doesn't happen in America. I'm glad that we can exercise our free speech and speak out. And, this was a long form interview. Feel free to check it out. It's really interesting. But now just a year or so later after he said that, even though we can still criticize the regime, that is slowly but surely starting to change. Colbert's show was canceled, presumably because he criticized the regime. He's not at risk of going to jail, thankfully, so we're not there yet. But the intervention from government to control everything, from the editing of news programming to publications of labor statistics, that is an indication of where this is all heading. We've gone too far, and I have no doubt that future historians will characterize this as the era of American autocracy.
Do yourself a favor.
Do yourself a
and click
favor.
The join button.
A kindergarten with nukes. Kindernuken. So now that we kind of got that set up, we talked about the memo, we talked about Trump's authoritarian tendencies, not just like in speaking, but like what he's doing. This was very recent. Very, very recent. Literally just happened.
And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam.
Just to be clear, the crime rate in DC has been going down. This is a fabrication, okay? This is a lie. This is delusional. This is divorced from reality. Okay. This is delusional. This is completely divorced from reality. That he's saying that he's making it. He's painting a picture that Washington D.C. is some kind of crime-ridden area filled with bloodshed and bedlam, and well, of course, it's fascist rhetoric, right? There needs to be a constant existential crisis. To to then justify this.
And squalor and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal...
Has he been arc welding? I mean, like, de facto, this is basically, like, for all... I mean, all intents and purposes, this is basically... this is basically a de facto soft martial law, right? That's what's happening. Epstein, though, yeah, we're completely out of the picture now, right? Now, he decides to do this, to distract us 100%. Very slurry performance this time around by Trump.
Control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition...
here we have another clip, just to be very clear about what the intentions are here, we're going to have the clown Pete Hegseth to Trump's right.
A lot of essentially military, and we will bring in the military if it's needed, by the way. We're going to have National Guard, but Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, oh, that's so terrible. He's going to bring in, it's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people. And a lot of...
So, I mean, this is not like him just saying this. This is a legitimate threat that he's doing. Right, but just not on the 6th though. Just not on the 6th. We don't need the military for that. That was the good coup. That was the good insurrection. The military is preparing for the activation of hundreds of National Guard troops to Washington, D.C., two officials told Reuters on Sunday, which was yesterday. The officials who were speaking on condition of anonymity said a final decision was still to be made by President Trump, but the troops were prepared to deploy. One of the officials said it was unclear what exactly their troops would do, but it could take part in efforts to protect federal agents or even carry out administrative tasks to free up law enforcement officials. So yeah, that is a threat, a legitimate threat that he's doing, to project power on the nation's capital. And if I'm remembering, if I'm getting my, my facts right, which most of the time I do, this all kind of happened, or it was catalyzed. The catalyst for this was the apparent alleged battery on the Doge guy known as Big Balls. Apparently he was battered by some teenagers, and of course that warrants the response of the entire of the military and federalizing law enforcement, obviously because of one battery. Of course. This is a test case for national martial law by 7/4/26. We should have complete martial law for safety due to terroristic threat. Yeah. Yep. I mean, this is why wouldn't it be, right? If it works here in DC, or rather in the capital, then theoretically it should be good to go in other cities, right? Let's say New York, because Mamdani won, right? Let's say Mamdani wins the election, which is, let's be honest, there's a very high chance that Mamdani wins the New York election. Trump has talked about liberating New York as well from, the socialist takeover. Who's to say that New York isn't next? Still regrettably alive. No tears shed for big balls. Love that emoji. But that is presumably the catalyst to all of this. President Trump orders homeless people he passed en route to the golf course because, you can't make this up. To leave Washington, D.C., President demands unhoused residents to leave the Capitol or face eviction and vowed to use officers to make arrests. In a social media post on yesterday, Trump demanded homeless residents of Washington, D.C. to leave the country's capital or face eviction, and again promised to use federal officers to jail criminals, even though violent crime in the city was at a 30-year low when he took office. The homeless have to move out immediately. What an a-hole, man. Shortly after being driven from the White House to his golf club in Virginia, we will give you places to stay, but far from the Capitol. Whatever. So much for the Republic. Hello to the American Empire. Welcome, Cognizant. You think he got kicked in his alleged big balls? The post was illustrated with 4 paragraphs, all apparently taken from the president's motorcade, along with the route to the White House and his golf course. 2 of the images showed a total of 10 tents pitched on the grass along the highway on the on-ramp just a mile from that White House. The 3rd image showed a single person sleeping on the steps of the American Institute of Pharmacy building on Constitution Avenue. The 4th image showed the line of vehicles that whisked Trump to his golf course, passing a small amount of roadside litter on East Street Expressway. Trump's post promoted a previously announced news conference on Monday, which he promised will essentially stop violent crime in the Capital District, without explaining how. In a subsequent post, he said that the news conference on 10 a.m. Monday will not only involve the ending of crime, murder, and death, again, even though that it is at a all-time low, a 30-year low. The Free DC movement, which advocates for self-determination, immediately scheduled a protest on Monday to coincide with Trump's news conference. Despite Trump's claim, there's no epidemic of homelessness or violent crime in the Capitol. According to the Community Partnership, which works to prevent homelessness in Washington, D.C., on any given night, there are about 800 unsheltered people sleeping outdoors in a city of about 700,000. Further, 3,274 use emergency shelters in Washington, and 1,065 people are in transitional housing facilities. Trump supported claims that it might be necessary to federalize the law enforcement in the city to make it safe. Also ignores data collected by the Metropolitan Police Department released in January by the federal government, which shows that violent crime in D.C. in 2024 was down 35% from 2023 and at the lowest level in over 30 years. So, yeah, I mean, facts, whatever. Facts don't mean anything. Yeah, good to see you, Cognizant. Yeah, because those people will just die somewhere else now. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what he wants, right? Like, he thinks of them as less than human, and he wants them out of his sight. He wants them away from his golf course because that's just the type of person that he is. He looks down upon poor people. He looks down upon unhoused people. He looks down upon the working class, because he thinks of himself as superior. In every way, like literally, if you're not in his class and don't look like him, then you are inferior. It's such a picture of capitalism. The problem is them being there, just visibly existing, not them being without a house. Correct. And because of that, obviously, the solution is to use the police to kick them out, because, that's what the police are for, right? Federal law enforcement is always on the street in D.C., and we always work cooperatively with them, said Bowser, on adding to the Washington, D.C. National Guard, which Trump has threatened to deploy, is under control of the president. Earlier this week, Trump ordered a surge of federal officers from a variety of agencies to increase patrols in D.C., pointing to assault on the young federal worker. Yeah, so this is exactly it. Look at that. There we are, folks. I'm 100% convinced that this was the genesis of this. That this was the catalyst, the excuse right here. Ladybug, welcome. From a variety of agencies to increase patrols in Washington, D.C., pointing to the assault of a young federal worker who came to Washington to work with Elon Musk. They're talking about big balls. They're talking about big balls. That's who they're talking about. False flag on big balls. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe this is just like the perfect opportunity because the people that were arrested for this alleged incident were two 15-year-olds. So, I mean, it just fake balls assault. It could be. I'm just saying that it could also just be a perfect opportunity. Because, these are 15-year-old kids. We just had a big storm. Jesus. Hope you're doing all right. As evidence that the city's police force was failing to combat violent crime. Washington police, however, had stopped the assault Trump focused on and arrested the two 15-year-olds. So, he's literally just fabricating this stuff. It's quite possible that, take your pick. We really don't know. But it seems to me like the police did their job, for once. Asked by Reuters, the White House declined to explain what legal authority Trump would use to evict people from Washington. The president controls only federal land and buildings in the city. The U.S. Congress has control of the city's budget, but the D.C. Home Rule Act, signed into law by 1973 by Richard Nixon, gives Washington, D.C. residents the right to elect the mayor, council members, and neighborhood commissioners to run day-to-day affairs. Trump told reporters on Wednesday that the White House lawyers were already studying the possibility of legislation to overturn the law granting to Washington, D.C. self-rule and imposing direct federal control of the capital. Big Balls, is that an AC/DC song? Local TV was saying it's not big and our lights went out and it was just bad. The lightning was really bad. Oof. Even if crime in D.C. weren't at a historical low point, President Trump's comment would be misguided and offensive to the more than 700,000 people who live permanently in the nation's capital, said Eleanor Holmes Norton, who represents D.C. as a non-voting delegate in Congress, said in a statement, D.C. residents, a majority of whom are black and brown, are worthy and capable of governing themselves without interference from federal officials who are unaccountable to D.C. The only permanent remedy that will protect D.C.'s ability to govern itself is enactment of My D.C. statehood bill into law. The fact that he's basically federalizing law enforcement under this pretext of this nonsense law and order claim is deeply disturbing, because if he's allowed to do this, which apparently if he's allowed to do this, which apparently no one's going to stop him, it is, as Wolfgren said, a perfect training ground, a perfect learning opportunity to see how this can be expanded. I mean, the Hegseth memo says that this could be a possibility where you would have operations like what happened in California. This is truly, deeply disturbing stuff. And it would not surprise me if he tries to expand this, if it is successful, meaning if no one stops him. If no one stops him, then he could probably keep going. Well, it's 77 degrees now. At least it's not like boiling hot. Meanwhile, Dem leadership is like, we tried nothing and now we're out of ideas. Yep. Sorry, guys. It's illegal to be poor in America, and poor equals not billionaire. Yep.
That is why my message to residents is this. We know that access to our democracy is tenuous. That is why you have heard me and many Washingtonians before me advocate for full statehood for the District of Columbia. We are American citizens. Our families go to war. We pay taxes and we uphold the responsibilities of citizenship. And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised. I can say to DC residents that we will continue to operate our government in a way that makes you proud. We will balance our budgets. We will deploy our services. Our kids are going to start school on August 25th. And we will work with the federal government to do the things that they should do for our city. My message to residents is this. We know that access to our democracy is tenuous. That is why you have heard me and many Washingtonians before me advocate for full statehood for the district.
Then we have NPD, the National Guard, possible other law enforcement agencies on the ground, that there will be confusion about who's in charge, who these officers answer to, and how people should respond if approached by any of those officers.
We should note, and we have been advised, and we will continue to make this clear that this is needed in our city, that all law enforcement be identifiable by a uniform, a badge, a jacket, so that people know that they are.
Yeah, and no masks. Heat, thank you so much for the 10 biddies. I appreciate that. I see it.
Law enforcement, and the chief, in her coordination with the kind of the command on the federal side, will make clear kind of how the protocols for response. And if there's any additional information we need to get out to the public, we will.
I mean, like, the stuff that's happening here is really, really disturbing. It's testing grounds. It is testing grounds.
I'm in Washington, D.C. Is D.C. safe? Number one. And then number two, do you support this move by President Trump?
Like, first of all, like, that's a lie. Like, so that is a lie. Like, you can't tell me that this guy doesn't walk D.C. all the time. He's a senator. And this is just an outright fabricated lie. This guy is legitimately evil.
Well, first off, DC is not safe.
That's not true. That's literally not true. So another way of rephrasing that. So, like, is he saying that Trump is not making DC safe? Like, is the Republican administration not making the Capitol safe? Because, like, what happened? The data shows that crime is at an all-time low. Pretty much in the past 30 years. There's been a 35% drop in violent crime. So are you saying that in a snap of a finger, like Trump Thanos snapped crime into DC? Is that what he's saying? Is the Republican Party the party of crime?
People don't just walk the streets in D.C. and feel safe anywhere around D.C. I mean, I've got to be careful in what I do. But
you got to be careful. Oh, wow.
People in my office, they're very careful about where they go. So this is great what Donald Trump is doing. I'm on a bill with Mike Lee that Congress would take this back. So the president is doing what Congress should be doing. We should be taking this back. So I'm very thankful. Guess what? This is going to be a place where I can tell my grandkids, hey, you want to come here and enjoy the city now. Before I would.
Wild. Fox turns to Rick Scott for the really brazen lies because his image is already rubbish. True. There's no law enforcement, just order enforcement. Yep, that's actually a very good way of putting it. That's actually a very good way of putting it. There's no law enforcement, there's order enforcement. Yeah. Order enforcement. An autocracy is worth less than a democracy, and it's usually worth less and less every day. Yep. That's a great quote.
You have to say, oh, you can come here, but you got to be very careful. You can't be out after dark. You can't go. You got to be careful going to a restaurant or anything.
What are you talking about? Like, this guy is literally like just, it's delusional. This is delusional. This is not like the actual, like, this is not the real world. He's describing, like, I don't know, something he made up for this segment, I guess. This is a fiction, a figment of his imagination.
After dark. So he's going to change dramatically, DC. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's the Medicare fraud and waste abuse talking, which incidentally, isn't that illegal? Huh. How much years did Rick Scott get for all the Medicare fraud, which is to the tune of millions, if I'm remembering correctly? To the tune of millions. How much? How much? How much did he serve in prison? Oh, wait. He's a senator. Gotta bounce dudes and dudettes. Gotta go get school so I can protect people from the fascists. Well, I appreciate that, Kirkenstein's Monster. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out. My daughter did an academic internship in 2013. We were worried about her in DC. Well, I'm sure there's rough areas of DC, just like any other city. But to say that this is like some kind of apocalyptic hellscape, when the data shows when the data shows otherwise, especially now, especially within the last couple of years, especially within the last decade, as it progresses, I mean the numbers speak. Numbers speak for themselves. I'm sure there's rough areas, just like there's rough areas in every place. But what they're describing is some kind of apocalyptic scene where everything is on fire. People are getting mugged left and right. There's bloodshed and bedlam. Literally the words that he was used by the president. I mean, this is not the case. Not the case at all. And then to use that as an excuse to be to implement de facto martial law is really the crux of this thing. I mean, I would worry about my daughter in many large cities. Yeah, exactly. But that's just like normal large city stuff, right? That's just like normal large city stuff. Gay in German is schwul? Huh, like schwul? So it's LSBT instead of LGBT. Huh, the more you know. Meanwhile, 3 of the most violent cities are in Missouri. Bad areas I would never live in 30 miles from my home. The whole U.S. is a apocalyptic hellscape, but it's not the street crime making it so, but neoliberalism. Yeah.
It is a symbol of national decline and a mockery that our nation's capital is more dangerous than Bogota, Mexico City, Islamabad.
I've gotta say that this is probably BS. That is a wild take. May I ask your opinion about something? Sure, go ahead. You get one shot at this. You get one shot at this. From Mentarius. Hey, you get one shot at this. I'm not American, but as a European, I'm kind of wondering about you as an American, how you see this. I mean, shoot your shot. Charlie Kirk's airline is the only travesty I see here. What is your opinion about the EU situation? If you haven't heard, they're adopting both the American and UK system to protect children. Well, what do you have is what you two have, plus the end encryption and private messages. Basically, you have yeah. I think it's bad. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's great. I think I'm vaguely familiar with what you're talking about. Which, by the way, does affect us here, because if they're successful at kind of doing this, they will spread that here. In fact, I'm pretty sure they've shown interest in adopting something like that. I think that it's gross. I think that it's dangerous. And it's sad because it's even like, I'm pretty sure even the Labour Party is the one that's kind of pushing for this. Unfortunately. Yeah, think of the children as being a precursor to all sort of fascist activity. Yep, and it's wild coming from the Labour Party, which is wild. Just will not have internet because it's too much of a hassle. I strongly believe this will basically push all non-extremist people to join both political extremes. Well, the only extreme, honestly, is the far right at this time. The only political extreme is the far right at this time. Those are the only people that are threatening democracy across the world, and those are the people threatening democracy here. So yeah, I mean, to me, in my eyes, the only extreme is the only extreme that I see is from the far right. Those things ban LGBT people pretty much off the internet entirely. It's pretty gross stuff. Nadia, you're 100%. Who are we protecting the children from? It is unclear. They pretend that this is some kind of child protection against predators, because of course that's how they sell it, right? That's how they pull on the emotional strings, right? They say they're protecting children from predators being able to contact them on social media. I'm vaguely familiar with what you're talking about, and I completely disagree with that, with the EU and the UK, with how that they're taking that issue. Right. Correct, Seth Evans. Yeah, well, where are these leftist extremist people seem to think that they exist? Yeah, that's like why that's my major pushback on that is like there's no two extremist sides here. There's only one really.
DC is more dangerous than Mexico City, Bogota, Islamabad, Lima. I mean, it is a disaster. And I think we should give Washington, D.C. to Maryland for a very important reason. It takes off the 51st state conversation.
Yeah, but I would argue that's kind of reactionary, right? Like, you're not talking about left-leaning people. If you're talking about standing against minorities, I would reject I would reject that there would be leftists to begin with, even if they claim to be, right? Even if they claim to be leftists. I don't think that I would just call them reactionary. If they're claiming to be like anti-immigrants or anti-minority, then like I don't need them in the left movement because I wouldn't consider them part of the left movement. I understand Eastern Europe has kind of weird politics like that, but no, I would argue and I would say respectfully that those people wouldn't and don't belong. They wouldn't and don't belong on the left. It sounds like what they adulate is authoritarianism, and that's not okay. The damn litmus test, yeah.
Except for the national monuments. I want to dive more into this, but for now, I'm in Washington, D.C. Is D.C. safe?
This is just clown world. This is just clown world. They're talking about D.C. like it's some kind of apocalyptic scene. I agree, our tent isn't big enough for that. Exactly. And here we are repeating the same lie that DC is somehow like an extremely dangerous city.
But I don't expect that's much comfort to people like the parents of Eric Tarpinian Yakum, who was gunned down and killed in that drive-by shooting back at the beginning of July.
Well, that's exactly right, John and Sandra. Great to be with you. President Trump, compliments to him again for his leadership. These comments made by the other party are tone deaf to the actual reality of living in this city, and ask any young people that are coming here to try to work for the government. It's already one of the most expensive cities in the world, but it's also now one of the most dangerous cities.
Well, it's expensive because it's expensive because of capitalism. Yeah, DC. Yeah, exactly. They're pretending like DC is playing out an IRL version of The Purge
in the world, and that does impair the function of government. President Trump has every right to declare an emergency, and how Interior is involved is because the U.S. Park Police, which is the nation's oldest federal police organization, formed by George Washington in 1791, has responsibility for the National Mall and all the triangle and circle parks that spread across the D.C. metro area, as well as the parkways that extend into Maryland and Virginia. So they've been on the
right. That's my point, Nadia. Exactly. Exactly. They're pretending like this is some kind of like massive like hub of crime or something, when in reality the issue underneath all of this is capitalism, right?
Tip of the spear. And I tell you, the rank and file of the Park Police, the U.S. Park Police, is so happy with President Trump because they're now having a leader that's willing to support enforcing the laws. Under President Biden in this system.
Yeah, under President Biden, there's no laws. Got it. Understood. I think we get the picture of what's happening, of what's happening here in D.C. And 100%, this is what I would consider a dry run. We've watched the Trump and his clips. We've watched the response from the mayor. We've gone over the articles, and what this all amounts to is like this to me, in my opinion, is a dry run to see how far that they can push this, how far they can manipulate the laws that already exist to do this, to consolidate power. Because if they can successfully do this and militarize the Capitol, which Trump would love, then you could perhaps try that elsewhere. You could perhaps say, there is, you could say perhaps that New York City, the largest city in the country, right? Presumably. Electing a socialist mayor is going to destroy New York City, and therefore New York City needs to be liberated. And because I don't know, whatever, declare that Mamdani winning as some kind of insurrection or kind of de facto toppling of New York City, and now that warrants federal action. Whatever. I mean, just make stuff up. My point being is that if this is successful in the way that they want it to be successful, it is without a doubt in my mind that they will try exporting this to other states, presumably blue states. All right, folks, we got one more article to kind of close this off because I have no more time. One second, folks. Okay. Hello, Second American Civil War. Man, I hope so. I mean, I hope not, because that is terrible. That is terrifying. To think about. That is terrifying to think about. You can say that from your throne of snow in Canada. 75 years of socialist mayors have done quite well for Beijing. I should say so. You had my heart stopping. Oh my goodness. No, I misspoke. I'm literally in like the heart of a red state. I'm pretty up there. So I'm cooked. I'm personally not cheering on for a civil war. That would be horrific. No war here. It's hell I hear. Yep. I would prefer to take a hard pass on that. Sad state where it's more welcome than it's what seems like the prevailing path. Yep. Were if that or 1,000-year Reich wins unopposed. It would be a short war. I mean, short or long, it would be pretty bad. The advocate, I'm being selfish. Oh, I completely understand that. I mean, heck, I don't have children now. I don't want nothing to do with war. I don't, even if, I don't want nothing to do with any of that. I hope my US lefty comrades make it through the night, week, month, and year. Oh, we intend to. If anything, I would rally to say that I would rally and say like maybe we should be that petty and make it through, okay, and still be here despite all of this. I plan to be here. CDC Union says vaccine misinformation put staff at risk after the Atlanta shooting. This happened not too far actually from here. A union representing the U.S. CDC employees have demanded that the federal government condemn vaccine misinformation after a man who evidently blamed the COVID vaccine for making him depressed and suicidal aimed gunfire at, Friday at the CDC's headquarters in Atlanta. They thought they buried us. They did not know we were seeds. Exactly. The 30-year-old shooting suspect who killed a police officer and died during the attack also tried to get into the CDC's headquarters, but he was stopped by guards before driving to a pharmacy across the street and opening fire. Another example of political violence, and another example of how the natural conclusion of what this extreme ideology leads to. The military has honor at its core. They would defend the Constitution. I would hope so. I'm not confident, but I would certainly hope so for everyone's sake. They need a CDC for future Walking Dead spinoffs. Yeah, that's why it still exists. The American Federation of Government Employees, Local 2883, added that the CDC leadership and Department of Health and Human Services, headed by Trump administration appointee and avowed vaccine skeptic, vaccine denier, RFK Jr. must provide a clear and unequivocal stance in condemning vaccine disinformation. Right, because all of this is like, this is where all of this, nonsense comes from, right? These people spread this. It becomes this ideology that someone eventually takes upon themselves to act on it. Like saying that the vaccine made them depressed and now they're going to go on a shooting spree. Which is not the, there's no evidence that we've found right now that the COVID vaccine causes depression. However, we do know that COVID, the COVID infection, the COVID virus, does affect you, not just like physically, but also mentally. Does affect the brain. We do know that, but we have no evidence to suggest that the vaccine itself causes any kind of depression. We have seen COVID take quite the mental toll on people, but like literally physically it messes with your brain. But that has not been shown, as far as we know, for vaccines. Hey, Read and Rap, long COVID is confirmed to be able to cause brain damage. There you go. There you go. Schumer will protect us. Welcome, welcome. MAGA does not have the weapons to fight the U.S. military. Oh, I agree. I agree with that. It's just a matter of like, will they feel the same? Like, will the military honor its vows, as you said? I'm not confident. Will some honor that? Yeah. Will enough? I don't know. Are military members? Will they honor the Constitution? I would say some will. I would say a chunk will, but how many won't? That's where things get a little iffy at that point. That's what I'm afraid of. Bonzilla, good to see you. It's been a minute. My parents are brainwashed, so the COVID vaccine gave my family member a stroke, so they're all anti-vax now. Yikes. Yikes. COVID makes people stupid, not by getting it, but by talking about it. Fired but fighting, a group of laid-off CDC employees said Kennedy Jr. is directly responsible for villainization of CDC's workforce through his continuous lies about science and vaccine safety, which have fueled a climate of hostility and mistrust. Yep, 100%. He was very unsettled, and he was deeply believed that vaccines hurt him and were hurting other people, said Nancy Holst, told the Atlanta newspaper. He emphatically believed that. But Holst said she never believed White would be violent. I had no idea he thought he would take it out on the CDC. I mean, like, that's the thing, though, right? Like, this ideology warps people. You know, they're not just clowns on the internet, okay? Like, this whole anti-vax movement, they're not just clowns on the internet. This does have real-world consequences. And the people pushing this ideology, including government officials, are responsible for this. RFK Jr. is responsible for this. Anyone pushing this anti-vax nonsense is responsible for this. If our military will not honor the views they take to the Constitution, and we have already lost and are just waiting for for a weight challenge opera singer. You know, I'm afraid that it might just be that way. I'm hoping, you know, because I have to have hope. I'm hoping, and I'm praying and pleading and hoping and putting positive energy that it's not like that. But it is a scary thought to say that I'm uncomfortable. That I'm uncomfortable, you know, saying that we're not 100% cooked. It's not guaranteed, and that's the problem. To put it this way, Wolf Glenn, I feel like the stage has been set, and we're kind of putting the microphone on the stage. We're kind of putting the microphone on stage. The curtain's still it's kind of like you can kind of peek through in between the curtains, but the stage is kind of set. We're doing a sound check. Microphone's been put on the front, so that is my perception of things. I could be wrong, but I think I think it's the situation's pretty grave in that sense, in that area. I think that some may try to honor the vows that they made to the Constitution, but I don't think that all will, and that's kind of the problem, right? Cooked doe, a deer, a female deer. I forgot the song completely. Ray, a drop of golden sun. Me, wait, what is it? What is the me? Do, re, mi. Me, a name I call myself. Fa. Should hear the layback cover of that song. So la-ti-do. All right, folks. I gotta get out of here. Time for me to take a break before I come back on. Folks, don't forget, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be on the Ladder Hacks channel. So stay tuned for that. I will make an announcement on Discord as well. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out. Thank you, You guys are what makes this channel go. I appreciate all of your support, all of the follows and subscriptions and biddies and all of that. Thank you. You guys are what makes this channel go. We are here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. On Tuesdays, catch my show on this space at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store, hit !tip, Substack, join the Discord. That's a perfect way to keep up with the channel. And we do movie events, folks. I thought PogChamps was a YouTube video game. People are trying to play chess. PogChamp is the emote, yeah? Do I have PogChamp? No, I don't think I have PogChamp. Oh wait, I do. Oh, it's a Twitch emote. There you go. Streaming the latest South Park episodes on Saturday afternoon. See, there you go. Lots of stuff. Lots of stuff happening on the Discord. So join it. And we'll be here 2 hours from now. The military has been thoroughly crystal fast. I think that there's an uncomfortable amount of that happening. I do think that there's an uncomfortable amount of that happening. To what degree, I don't know, but I know that definitely it's been a goal. I mean, Pete Hegseth talks about it. Pete Hegseth laid out the vision for it. But anyways, I've never heard of it. It's an older emote. Now it's this little dinosaur looking thing. Ones who aren't crystal fascists are less religious, white supremacists, etc. I think there's an uncomfortable amount, for sure. Of like, this isn't like I think that there's definitely an uncomfortable amount of white supremacists. In fact, didn't they have like this whole thing where they tried to like suss out white supremacists from the military, and that was kind of axed out once the Trump administration came in. They're like, no, we're stopping this. I'm pretty sure. In fact, I'm pretty sure the Biden administration was trying to work on that, like explicitly. Violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. True. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Appreciate you two modding for the chat. Thank you. Ladybug, thank you. Wolfglen, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate that. Wolfglen, Cognizant, thank you. Good to see you again. Bonzilla, Read and Rap, Seth Evans, thank you all for hanging out. Moanep, Soul Life, thank you all. Geriatric, there's a little gnat. Fermentorous. Kirkenstein's Monster. John Lithium. JK. Ground Level News. Mayhem Hippie. I dirty lurked. We have heavy thunder here, but it's better than the smoke that has been lingering all day. Oof. Stay safe, everyone. Appreciate y'all being here. We'll be back tomorrow on this space at 7 and in 2 hours on the Letter Hacks channel. Thank you all. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one 2 hours from now. And then tomorrow. See ya. No way I'm staying up that late. No, it's okay, Nadia. That's okay. You can always catch the YouTube or join us tomorrow. I appreciate you being here. Please get some rest. Socialism is not a dirty word. True. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.